In the early 13th century, the Mongol steppe was a land dominated by fractious tribes, engaged in constant warfare and rivalry. For centuries, various Mongol clans and nomadic tribes had struggled for power and supremacy, leading to a state of disunity and chaos. Amid this backdrop of endless tribal conflict, one man rose to change the course of history: Temujin, who would later be known to the world as Genghis Khan. Born in the early 1160s, Temujin endured a tumultuous childhood marked by tragedy and hardship. His father, a minor chieftain, was poisoned by rivals when Temujin was just a boy, leaving him and his family to face the harsh realities of life on the steppe. Cast out by his own clan and left to fend for themselves, Temujin's family lived in poverty and isolation. However, these early struggles would shape Temujin into a resilient and determined leader. As he grew older, Temujin began to gather allies from other clans, using both diplomacy and military skill to forge alliances. His rise to power was not without setbacks, as he was captured and enslaved by rival tribes more than once. Yet, with each setback, he learned valuable lessons about leadership, loyalty, and strategy. Gradually, he gained a loyal following, and by the late 12th century, Temujin had established himself as a prominent figure among the Mongol tribes. By 1206, Temujin had successfully united the disparate Mongol tribes through a combination of military conquest and shrewd diplomacy. His ability to inspire loyalty, his fairness in distributing spoils among his followers, and his mastery of military tactics all contributed to his rise. After years of relentless warfare, defeating rival clans like the Merkits, Naimans, Tatars, and Karyots, Temujin's dominance was uncontested. The Mongol steppe, once torn by internal strife, was now united under a single banner. In a grand council, known as the Kurultai, held in 1206, Temujin's followers gathered to bestow upon him the title of Genghis Khan, also spelled Chinggis Khan, which means universal ruler or oceanic king. This title symbolized his role as the supreme leader of all Mongols, transcending tribal boundaries and signifying the birth of a new empire, the Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan's vision extended beyond uniting the Mongol tribes. He sought to expand his dominion across foreign lands, building an empire that would stretch far beyond the borders of the steppe. Once established as the Great Khan, Genghis Khan set about reforming Mongol society. He implemented laws, known as the Yasa, which were designed to instill discipline and order among his people. The Yasa covered various aspects of governance, including military discipline, social behavior, and loyalty to the Khan. Genghis Khan also reorganized the Mongol military, creating a highly efficient and mobile fighting force based on the decimal system, with units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000 soldiers. His army was not only large but also disciplined and well-trained, capable of swift and coordinated maneuvers. One of Genghis Khan's most notable achievements was the creation of a meritocratic system in the military, where soldiers and commanders were promoted based on their abilities rather than their noble lineage. This gave rise to a loyal and efficient army, eager to prove their worth. The mobility of the Mongol cavalry, combined with their expertise in horse archery, gave them a decisive advantage over more stationary, less organized opponents. With the Mongol tribes unified and his military forces organized, Genghis Khan turned his gaze beyond the borders of Mongolia. His first major target was the neighboring kingdom of Western Xia, Xia. The Western Xia, also known as Xia, was a relatively small but strategically important kingdom located in what is today northwestern China. It occupied a crucial region along the Silk Road, controlling key trade routes between China, Central Asia, and the Middle East. The Western Xia dynasty was established by the Tangut people, a semi-nomadic group who had built a prosperous and culturally rich kingdom. Although Western Xia was smaller than its powerful neighbors, such as the Jin dynasty to the east and the Khwarezmian Empire to the west, it was well fortified and militarily capable. Its cities were defended by sturdy walls, and its rulers maintained a sizable army. Despite these defenses, Western Xia posed a tempting target for Genghis Khan, both because of its wealth and its strategic location. Controlling Western Xia would allow the Mongols to secure trade routes and expand further into China. In 1207, just a year after being declared the Great Khan, Genghis Khan began his campaign against the Western Xia. The invasion of Western Xia marked the Mongol Empire's first significant foreign military campaign, and it would serve as a testing ground for Mongol strategies that would later be employed in larger conquests. The campaign began with Genghis Khan leading a large Mongol army across the Gobi Desert into Western Xia territory. The Mongols, with their highly mobile cavalry, quickly overran much of the countryside, raiding and pillaging villages and towns. However, the Western Xia, with their fortified cities, were not easily subdued. One of the key challenges Genghis Khan faced during the Western Xia campaign was the Mongols' lack of experience in siege warfare. While the Mongol army was adept at open-field battles and hit-and-run tactics, they lacked the siege equipment and techniques necessary to breach the walls of Western Xia's well-fortified cities. To overcome this, Genghis Khan began employing a mix of innovative strategies and brute force. Genghis Khan's adaptability as a military leader was one of his greatest strengths. Recognizing the Mongols' limitations in siege warfare, he sought to adapt and learn from his enemies. During the Western Xia campaign, the Mongols began experimenting with siege tactics, learning how to build siege engines and use catapults to hurl stones and fire into enemy fortifications. One of Genghis Khan's most effective strategies during the campaign was the use of psychological warfare. He often employed terror as a tool of war, using fear to force his enemies into submission. Genghis Khan's army would surround a city, cutting off supply lines and bombarding it with siege engines. At the same time, they would send envoys demanding the city's surrender, warning of the dire consequences of resistance. Many cities, fearing total destruction, surrendered without a fight. In addition to terror, Genghis Khan used diplomacy to weaken Western Xia's defenses. He reached out to local leaders and officials, offering them favorable terms if they defected and joined the Mongol side. These tactics proved successful in some cases, further weakening Western Xia's ability to resist. The pivotal moment in the Western Xia campaign came in 1209, when the Mongols laid siege to Yinchuan, the Western Xia capital. Yinchuan was a heavily fortified city, surrounded by strong walls and protected by a well-equipped garrison. However, the Mongols employed their growing expertise in siege warfare, combined with their characteristic mobility, to encircle the city and cut off all escape routes. For months, Genghis Khan's forces bombarded Yinchuan with siege engines and arrows. The Mongols dug trenches and constructed earthen ramps to breach the city's defenses. Despite fierce resistance from the Western Xia defenders, the city supplies began to run low, and morale within the walls began to crumble. In the end, Yinchuan was forced to surrender. The Western Xia ruler, Emperor Li Anchuan, capitulated to Genghis Khan and agreed to pay tribute to the Mongols. This marked the end of the campaign and the submission of Western Xia to Mongol rule. While Genghis Khan spared the lives of the Western Xia rulers, he imposed harsh terms, demanding heavy tribute and military support for future Mongol campaigns. The conquest of Western Xia was a significant milestone in Genghis Khan's rise to power. It not only demonstrated the Mongols' ability to defeat a fortified and well-defended kingdom but also secured a key region along the Silk Road, opening the way for further expansion into China and Central Asia. Moreover, the Western Xia campaign taught Genghis Khan valuable lessons in siege warfare, lessons that would prove crucial in his later conquests of the Jin Dynasty and the Khwarezmian Empire. The Mongols' ability to adapt and innovate in the face of new challenges would become one of the defining characteristics of their empire. As Genghis Khan returned to Mongolia in 1209, he began preparing for his next major campaign, one that would see the Mongol Empire expand even further into the heart of China. The conquest of Western Xia was just the beginning of a series of conquests that would shape the Mongol Empire into one of the largest empires in history. The campaign against Western Xia had not only expanded Mongol territory but it also enhanced Genghis Khan's reputation as a powerful and cunning leader. His success in adapting Mongol warfare techniques to include siege tactics made him an even more formidable opponent. The Mongol army, having gained valuable experience in siege warfare and the logistics of sustained military campaigns, was now better prepared for larger and more ambitious conquests. With Western Xia under Mongol control and paying tribute, Genghis Khan set his sights on even greater targets. His next objective would be the Jin Dynasty, the ruling power in northern China. The Jin Dynasty, although militarily strong and ruling over a prosperous region, had grown complacent, underestimating the threat posed by the Mongols. Genghis Khan, however, recognized that defeating the Jin would require even more careful planning and stronger siege tactics than those used against Western Xia. The conquest of Western Xia provided Genghis Khan with several strategic advantages that would facilitate future Mongol campaigns. First and foremost, it gave the Mongols control over critical trade routes that passed through Western Xia, allowing Genghis Khan to increase his empire's wealth. These trade routes, which linked China with Central Asia and the Middle East, were vital to the flow of goods, information, and resources across the region. By controlling them, the Mongols could collect tributes from merchants and states dependent on these routes, further strengthening their economy. Additionally, Western Xia provided the Mongols with access to skilled artisans, engineers, and administrators. The Tanguts, the ruling ethnic group of Western Xia, were known for their expertise in various forms of craftsmanship and military technology. Many Tangut engineers and craftsmen were incorporated into the Mongol military, helping them to construct better siege engines and develop more advanced tactics. This exchange of knowledge would be crucial in Genghis Khan's later campaigns, particularly when he faced the much larger and more fortified cities of the Jin and Song dynasties in China. Furthermore, the Mongol conquest of Western Xia allowed Genghis Khan to secure his western frontier, reducing the likelihood of attacks from neighboring states while he focused on his campaigns in China. Western Xia acted as a buffer zone, ensuring that the Mongols could expand eastward without fear of being attacked from the west. The campaign against Western Xia was not only significant for its immediate military and territorial gains, but also for its long-term impact on the Mongol Empire. Genghis Khan's ability to subdue a fortified and well-organized state like Western Xia established his reputation as a leader who could conquer any enemy, no matter how strong their defenses. This reputation would instill fear in future adversaries, many of whom would surrender to the Mongols rather than face the full force of Genghis Khan's army. Moreover, the lessons learned during the Western Xia campaign would shape the future of Mongol warfare. Genghis Khan's ability to adapt to new challenges and his willingness to incorporate the knowledge of conquered peoples into his army became hallmarks of Mongol military strategy. The Mongols would continue to refine their siege tactics, perfecting them during their campaigns against the Jin dynasty, the Khwarezmian Empire, and even in their incursions into Europe. The conquest of Western Xia was just the beginning of Genghis Khan's larger plan for global domination. By uniting the Mongol tribes and defeating the Western Xia, Genghis Khan had proven that the Mongols were a force to be reckoned with. His military prowess, combined with his strategic vision and ability to adapt, laid the foundation for an empire that would span from China to Eastern Europe. From the windswept Mongolian steppe to the fortified cities of China, Genghis Khan's empire was beginning to take shape. The next few decades would see the Mongols embark on campaigns that would forever alter the political landscape of Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. The Mongol Empire would grow to become the largest contiguous empire in history, and it all started with the unification of the Mongol tribes in 1206 and the conquest of Western Xia. As Genghis Khan prepared for his next conquest, he knew that his dream of creating an empire that would last for centuries was well within reach. The Western Xia campaign had taught him valuable lessons, and his army was more formidable than ever. The world was about to witness the rise of one of history's greatest empires, and Genghis Khan, the once outcast boy from the steppes, would become the most